This is joint work with Philippe Bontemps in France, Toulouse, and a colleague at my university, Diego Lubian. So one empirical evidence or regularity is that in any sector, not all the firms export. In fact, one of the few studies that really investigated about this regularity found that in the US at least about 20% of plants actually export. Usually the exporters are bigger firms, okay? They export most of their products in the domestic market. Usually they are bigger, they are more productive, and usually if you measure productivity, plants are heterogeneous, very heterogeneous. So this is evidence that was not easy to reconcile with the previous, with the existing trade models like the standard Krugman model. So there has been a lot of effort in improving the theory about international trade, and especially models that used or try to explain data flow or trade at the firm level, okay? So probably the most successful, the most famous model is the one by Melis, was published in 2003 in Econometrica. So what he has in this model is a standard Krugman model with the difference that firms are heterogeneous in the cost of, marginal cost of producing, and they have to face a fixed cost to export, and given those two assumptions, you have a sorting of the most productive firms being able to export, and the less productive firms not being able to export. So this was probably the first model that could explain the empirical evidence. So many of the recent studies started, at least on the empirical part, to use data at the firm level. And so this is the starting point for us. So there is not much known in the wine sector, or at least there is not much empirical investigation to explain why and whether few firms export, and what are the determinants that explain the export activities at the firm level. So in this paper, we look into how many firms, what fraction of firms export, whether quality is an important driver of exporting activities, and whether collective reputation, meaning the DOP or appellation, whatever you want to call it, has any effect on the export activities. So in the literature, quality has been, investigated in theory, but also in practice, and there are different approaches, different, not many, but quite many studies about trade and quality. So there are studies that use unit price at the country level, or they use it at the product level category, and some papers also use data at the micro level, at the firm level, okay? So product and firm level, and usually they start from the Melis model, adapted to have the sorting of firms not based on productivity, but based on quality, and this is a model where we're going to cover in a while. And usually most of the studies, or at least many studies, take quality as given. So firms are different in their quality potential, but they usually don't make a lot of investment or any investment in improving quality. But there are some recent studies that they have what is called in the literature endogenous quality. So firms can also invest in quality. And this is what actually is kind of a more recent thing. So there is an important paper that was published in the Review of Economic Studies by Crozet and other authors like Head and Meyer, and they had just a different version of the quality of the Melis model. So firms were not different in terms of productivity, but in terms of quality potential. So you had that, the same kind of logic. They are heterogeneous, fixed cost to export, so only the higher quality firms, in fact, were able to export. And they use the test model, their model prediction, by using Champagne data, okay? How much time do we have? Well, not much. Anyway, so what they have, they tested their model predictions, and they found that, in fact, quality of Champagne, which was proxied by a guide on Champagne firms, quality was a good predictor of probability of exporting, the number of countries, and unit price. This presentation is a part of a bigger project in which we have a model. We're trying to test a model, to develop and test a model in which we extend the Mellitz quality version of the model by having both innate quality and endogenous quality and the role of collective reputation. So we have endogenous quality and collective reputation. In this presentation, though, I just test the Crozet model in which quality is exogenous using data from my area, which is Verona. It's not easy to get micro data, farm level data at the national level, so we got data only for our, this is like a county in Italy, is a department in France. So what we find, and we're going to see in a second, that quality is indeed important, especially in explaining the extensive margin, meaning whether a farm export or not, and the number of countries they cover. But we don't have anything about the intensive margin because, and also collective reputation are important. So, pardon?
Conclusions.
Okay, so we, actually let me skip just a look at the table. You see, we did have some table. In any case, let's conclude. So, quality, microdata, and wine trade. Okay, quality we find is important. This is just preliminary results, preliminary analysis, and different collective reputation. They have a different impact. Some they have a negative impact, which means probably they have a bad reputation. Others, they have a good impact, a positive impact. And so this is very preliminary. We still don't have data on wine production, so it's difficult to say anything about intensive trade, intensive margin, which means how much they export compared to what they produce. We are trying to get a proxy to have an idea of the quality effort they have to test the endogenous model. And we also have data for more years, but this is just an estimation of ALS for 1 year. But so we have to exploit the panel dimension of the data. And also we'd like to see whether wine cooperatives have or not a role in exporting.